Alex Eala hadn't even stepped onto the court yet, but the ticket rush for her Cincinnati Open appearance had already left tournament organizers scrambling. The demand was so massive that officials were forced to adjust her match arrangements just to accommodate the wave of Filipino fans flooding the gates. Tournament director Bob Moran, who has witnessed legends like Roger Federer, Rafael Nadal, and Serena Williams pack stadiums, was reportedly stunned by the unprecedented frenzy surrounding the 21-year-old Filipina sensation. As the number 17 seed with a first-round bye, Eala hadn't played a single point in Cincinnati, yet her presence alone was already creating chaos. So how did one player generate this kind of demand before the tournament even began, and what does it reveal about the incredible power of the Filipino tennis community? The ticket office at the Lindner Family Tennis Center had barely opened when the system was overwhelmed, and within hours, the situation had caught everyone off guard. Bob Moran, a tournament director accustomed to seeing the biggest names in tennis draw massive crowds, was left amazed by the level of interest in Eala's Cincinnati Open match. The Filipina star hadn't even begun her campaign, she was simply waiting to enter the tournament after receiving a first-round bye, but fans were already turning the event into a major spectacle. The ticket rush became so intense that organizers had to scramble for a solution before 9 a.m., highlighting just how quickly Eala's popularity has exploded. It echoed what happened in Toronto, where tickets for her matches reportedly sold out within 30 minutes, eventually forcing organizers to move her onto center court to accommodate the demand. But Cincinnati was different, because this time the frenzy was building before Alex Eala had. This was a tournament that had just undergone a staggering transformation, with the Lindner Family Tennis Center renovated and expanded to include a new 2,300-seat sunken stadium, 13 additional courts, and a state-of-the-art clubhouse, all designed to welcome the world's best players. Yet even with all that extra capacity, organizers suddenly found themselves facing the same challenge that had overwhelmed Toronto: how to accommodate the massive Filipino wave surrounding Alex Eala. The solution was swift and decisive. Eala's match was moved to Grandstand Court, a significantly larger venue capable of handling the huge crowd expected to turn up for the Filipina star. Tournament director Bob Moran, who has watched tennis legends come and go throughout his long career, was left amazed by the unprecedented pull of the 21-year-old. "She hasn't even played a point in Cincinnati, and she's already causing chaos," was the reaction that perfectly captured the moment. The scene became another powerful example of the Alex Eala phenomenon sweeping across North America. From Washington to Toronto and now Cincinnati, Filipino communities have transformed tournaments into something resembling massive homecomings, turning out in huge numbers to support their rising star. Toronto had already experienced the impact firsthand when Eala's match was moved to center court because of overwhelming ticket demand, and now Cincinnati was learning the same lesson. The Filipino wave had arrived in Ohio, and there were no signs of it slowing down. The days when Alex Eala had to scramble for wild cards or fight her way through qualifying rounds are quickly becoming a thing of the past. As the number 17 seed at the Cincinnati Open, the Filipina sensation has officially reached a new level, earning something that once seemed unimaginable: a first-round bye at a prestigious WTA 1000 event. And for anyone who has followed Eala's journey, the significance of this moment is impossible to ignore. Less than 2 years ago, her path looked completely different, but now she is entering major tournaments as one of the players everyone is watching. Just 2 years ago, the 21-year-old from Quezon City was ranked around number 140 in the world and often relied on wild cards simply to enter main draws. But now Alex Eala is the number 17 seed at one of the most prestigious tournaments on the WTA calendar, a position reserved for the world's top players. Her rise shows just how dramatically she has transformed her career and established herself in women's tennis. The 96-player singles draw at the Lindner Family Tennis Center features 32 seeded players who receive first-round byes, and Eala is now one of them. It represents the highest seeding of her career at a WTA 1000 event and serves as another powerful reminder of how far she has come. Not long ago, she was either receiving wild cards or battling through qualifying just to reach the main draw. Now, she arrives at major tournaments as a legitimate force, with a ranking that gives her an entirely different level of access and respect. Her first round bye also gives Eala valuable extra time to recover after an exhausting stretch in which she played 11 matches across 3 tournaments. She will begin her Cincinnati Open campaign in the second round against either Poland's Magdalena Frech or Romania's Elena Gabriela Ruse. Reflecting on her journey, Eala summed it up perfectly: "I've come far, but I still have farther to go." And that first round bye is more than just a luxury, it is a symbol of her incredible rise. From receiving a wild card in Miami to becoming a WTA 500 champion in Washington, from fighting through Grand Slam qualifying to becoming the number 17 seed in Cincinnati, Eala's trajectory has been nothing short of extraordinary. When a player who once needed wild cards simply to enter tournaments is suddenly receiving first-round byes at WTA 1000 events, you know she has truly arrived. The Lindner Family Tennis Center had never seen anything quite like the frenzy surrounding her, and the 21-year-old from Quezon City hadn't even stepped onto the court yet. The massive ticket rush that forced organizers to move Eala's match to Grandstand Court was only the beginning, because what unfolded next was something nobody in Cincinnati could have predicted: an entire Filipino community turning the tournament into a celebration of its rising tennis superstars. The Filipino community was showing up in force, turning a tennis tournament into something that felt more like a homecoming. Ohio is home to nearly 17,000 Filipino Americans, and while Cincinnati itself has a Filipino population estimated at around 1,000 to 2,000 people, the surrounding region has shown that distance is no obstacle for the Filipino diaspora. Families from across Ohio and even neighboring states began making plans to travel to Mason just to witness Alex Eala's Cincinnati debut. It's an amazing experience. It's nice to see that the Filipino community is really showing up and enjoying tennis, Eala said, expressing the gratitude that has become such a defining part of her personality. She also hoped their support could help grow the sport and give fans a new and joyful experience. The sentiment echoed what had already happened in Toronto, where the Filipino community transformed the 12,500-seat stadium into Bang Toronto, creating an atmosphere inspired by the passionate, community-driven energy of Philippine basketball. The arena was filled with Philippine flags, chants of "Laban, Alex," and an intensity that normally belongs to a Grand Slam final. Now Cincinnati was preparing for its own version of the Filipino wave. As the number 17 seed with a first-round bye, Eala was scheduled to begin her campaign in the second round against either Poland's Magda Linette or Romania's Elena Gabriela Ruse. She entered with a 2-2 head-to-head record against Linette, including victories in Auckland and Miami earlier this year, while she had previously lost a 3-set battle against Ruse at the 2024 US Open. For Eala, however, the support meant far more than numbers in the stands. "Washington, Toronto," she said in Tagalog, expressing her appreciation for the fans who continued to follow her journey. The wave had now arrived in Ohio, and there were no signs of it slowing down. Bob Moran had seen almost everything during his career. He had watched Federer, Nadal, and Serena Williams pack stadiums and witnessed some of the biggest moments in modern tennis. But when the ticket system crashed at 6 a.m. in Cincinnati, the tournament director immediately knew he was witnessing something completely unprecedented. "I've never seen anything like this." The words were not an exaggeration. Moran, who had recently overseen a record-breaking 2025 tournament, was now facing a phenomenon that even decades of experience at the highest level of tennis had not prepared him for. The Cincinnati Open, which had welcomed 285,571 attendees during its record-breaking run and undergone a massive $260 million campus transformation, was left stunned by the unprecedented Filipino wave surrounding Alex Eala. The demand for Eala's match caught tournament organizers completely off guard because she hadn't even stepped onto the court yet. The scene unfolded in the early hours of the morning, when around 6 a.m., the ticketing system was hit by an overwhelming surge of requests. Filipino fans, many of whom had been waiting for this moment after following Eala's impressive runs in Washington and Toronto, flooded the system in huge numbers. Organizers immediately scrambled to find a solution before 9 a.m., and the demand became so intense that Eala's match was moved to Grandstand Court, a larger venue capable of accommodating the massive crowd expected to attend. Bob Moran's shock was understandable. He had overseen the tournament's transformation from a one-week event into a 12-day spectacle, watched the field expand from 56 players to 96, and seen the Lindner Family Tennis Center grow from 20 to 40 acres with 13 new courts and a state-of-the-art player clubhouse. Yet none of those changes could have prepared him for a player capable of triggering a ticket frenzy before playing a single point. Eala hadn't even played a point in Cincinnati, and she was already causing chaos. The moment echoed what had happened in Toronto, where Eala's matches reportedly sold out within 30 minutes and organizers were forced to move her onto center court to handle the demand. Toronto had even added Filipino chicken adobo to its menu for the first time in tournament history, another sign of just how strongly Eala's fanbase was influencing the event. Now Cincinnati was learning the same lesson. When a tournament director with decades of experience watching legends like Federer, Nadal, and Serena Williams says he has never witnessed anything like this, it shows just how extraordinary the phenomenon has become. Alex Eala had not even stepped onto the Cincinnati court, yet the ticket system had already crashed, her match had been moved, and the Filipino community had once again demonstrated that its passion for tennis, and for one rising Filipina superstar, was becoming a force the tennis world could no longer ignore. The tournament director, who had spent decades watching legends like Roger Federer, Rafael Nadal, and Serena Williams pack stadiums, was left completely stunned by what was happening around. Alex Eala in Cincinnati. But the story of Eala's Cincinnati Open appearance is about far more than ticket sales. It is about a Filipino community that has turned every tournament into a homecoming and a 21-year-old player who has become the centerpiece of a movement capable of transforming the sport around her. "I've never seen anything like this," Bob Moran admitted, his words carrying the weight of someone who had witnessed tennis history for decades. The massive demand for Eala's Cincinnati Open match had caught everyone completely off guard. The Filipina sensation had not even stepped onto the court yet. She was still enjoying a first-round bye as the number 17 seed, but her presence alone had already overwhelmed the ticketing system. The rush became so intense that organizers were forced to scramble for a solution before 9 a.m., and within hours, Eala's match was moved to Grandstand Court, a larger venue capable of accommodating the enormous crowd expected to arrive. The phenomenon echoed what had already happened in Toronto, where Eala's matches reportedly sold out in just 30 minutes and organizers were forced to move her onto center court. But Cincinnati was facing a different kind of challenge. The tournament had just completed a staggering $193 million transformation, with the Lindner Family Tennis Center renovated and expanded to include a 2,300-seat sunken stadium, 13 new courts, and a state-of-the-art clubhouse, all designed to accommodate the world's best players and larger crowds. Yet even with all that additional capacity, organizers found themselves confronting the same question that had overwhelmed Toronto: how do you accommodate the Filipino wave? The answer was simple: you don't stop the wave, you ride it. As the number 17 seed with a first-round bye, Eala was preparing to begin her Cincinnati campaign in the second round against either Poland's Magda Linette or Romania's Elena Gabriela Ruse. She entered with a 2-2 head-to-head record against Linette, including victories in Auckland and Miami, while Ruse had previously defeated her in a 3-set battle at the 2024 US Open. But regardless of who stood across the net, one thing was already certain. Before Eala had hit a single ball in Cincinnati, she had already changed the atmosphere around the tournament. Eala had already recorded victories over Magda Linette in Auckland and Miami this year, while she had dropped a hard-fought 3-set decision to Elena Gabriela Ruse at the 2024 US Open. But for the Filipino community, the matchup itself was almost secondary. What mattered most was showing up and making their presence felt. Ohio is home to nearly 17,000 Filipino Americans, and while Cincinnati itself has a Filipino population estimated between 1,100 and 2,000, the surrounding region has once again proven that distance is no obstacle for the Filipino diaspora. Families from across Ohio and even neighboring states began making plans to travel to Mason to witness Eala's Cincinnati debut. It's an amazing experience. It's nice to see that the Filipino community is really showing up and enjoying tennis, Eala said, her voice carrying the gratitude that has become such a defining part of her journey. She also expressed hope that their support would help grow the sport and give fans a new and joyful experience. The sentiment echoed what had already happened in Toronto, where the Filipino community transformed the stadium into a celebration of Philippine culture and tennis, creating an atmosphere inspired by the passionate, community-driven spirit of Philippine basketball. The 12,500-seat arena was filled with Philippine flags, chants of "Laban, Alex," and the kind of energy usually reserved for a Grand Slam final. Now Cincinnati was preparing for its own version of the Filipino wave. For Eala, the support meant everything. From Washington to Toronto and now Cincinnati, the movement surrounding her had grown beyond anyone's expectations. What began as a strong Filipino presence in Washington exploded in Toronto and had now arrived in Cincinnati, becoming something even the most seasoned tennis observers could no longer ignore. Bob Moran, the tournament director who had seen some of the biggest names in tennis throughout his career, was left in awe of what was happening. The Filipino wave had arrived in Ohio, and there were no signs of it slowing down. But what do you do when your presence transforms a tennis tournament into a cultural phenomenon? For Alex Eala, the answer was simple: keep fighting, keep inspiring, and keep proving that the young girl who once dreamed of making it to the biggest stages of tennis is only getting started. Because she understands that this movement is about more than wins, rankings, or ticket sales. It is about a community finding its voice, coming together, and believing in one of its own, and that is something no ticketing system could ever contain.